Setting boundaries in your business with your clients up front is something that's really important that you're going to want to do, even if you are in a service business. And those are the things we're going to talk about in today's video, what kind of boundaries you might want to set, and how to set them up front with your clients. If you're new to me, hey there, my friends. This is Kelly Schaefer. I am the creator of the Concierge Academy, where I help local-based businesses market more successfully so that they get more clients, make more money, and have a greater impact in their local community, doing work that you love doing. Okay, so in the industry, you are a helper. You are a concierge. You are helping people. You are in the service industry. And a lot of people, including yourselves, think that because you are in a service industry that you have to bend over backwards for your clients to always solve their problems and come up with creative solutions. And although part of that is correct, yes, you are going to want to be solving some of their problems. If they have requests or they have needs, of course, that's part of what you offer. That is part of the services that you offer. But what I see happen is that people start bending and twisting and end up in situations with clients that down the line, they end up regretting or end up having a lot of resistance around. So I want to help you up front know about some of the most standard boundaries that you want to set up front with your clients so that you don't end up in what I call an access abuse relationship. Yes, I said an access abuse relationship. What is an access abuse relationship? That is what I refer to when you work with a client and the client hires you and then they begin to abuse the access that they have with you. So I want to tell you a quick story how this showed up for me very, very deeply several years ago. So I had a client who was lovely. She was a chronically disorganized person. So every single week I went to her house and I spent 4 hours every week. This went on for a course of a year, and I organized things in her home. We started with all the paperwork and the bills and the documents that were on her dining room table. And then it trickled into decades worth of files and the filing cabinet and purging old things and setting up bank accounts and setting up systems in the house. And what happened was that we had this really great, fun working relationship, except when she needed things and couldn't find things. So one day she sent me a text message at 10 p.m. at night and said, quote unquote, "Where is my tax file?" And I responded at 10 o'clock at night while I was sitting on the couch watching TV with my husband. I responded right away and I said, "It's in the filing cabinet under T for tax." She then responded, "It's not there. I need it." At which point I decided this is not an emergency at 10:15 at night on a Monday evening. I'm going to wait until tomorrow. The next day, I had a few appointments in the morning, at which point she then sent me an email saying, "I sent you," and at this point she had sent me multiple texts. "I sent you multiple texts. You're not responding. I need my tax file." At which point I picked up the phone. I ended up calling her and I told her, "Your tax file is in your filing cabinet under T for taxes." What happened was she still could not find it. So I told her that I was away at a business conference. So I was at a business conference then, and she kept texting me throughout the business conference, at which point I had to turn off my phone. And afterwards, I realized that I had allowed her to text me at night, and I responded to her at night. And this then gave her permission to then keep texting me over and over again. So long story short, what happened was she had taken the file out of the filing cabinet and she left it in another part of the room. And that's why it, quote unquote, was not where I kept telling her where it was. So this quickly made me realize that I had not set up the proper boundaries in my business. So here are some things I want you to consider when you're starting your business. Now, if you do these things in place when you're first starting your business, then you will have less problems to fix later on. What happens is a lot of us, I'll speak for myself, and maybe this is true for you too, you get in business to help people, you want to be available, you want to be overly helpful, and then what happens is you start responding to text messages at 10 o'clock at night, or responding to multiple emails a day, or people communicating with you in ways that you don't want to be communicated with. And what happens is because you want the client and you want the money, you allow that behavior to go on and on until you quote unquote, I can't take this anymore. At which point, then you want to put your foot down and establish some strong boundaries. That's why if you're new, consider setting these boundaries up front for yourself. And if you've already made some of these mistakes, think about how you can solve these problems from a calm, clean, grounded energy so that you can make decisions about how you want to enforce these boundaries going forward without coming at your clients like I'm quote unquote going to put my foot down. Okay, so here are the things that you want to consider. So you want to be aware of access abuse. What this means is if your clients are emailing you, asking questions multiple times a day, multiple times a week. I had a client one time who would send me lists and lists of things to do for her. And then I would ask her all the questions. And then throughout the day, she would send me more things and more things, and then more questions and more questions and more things and more things. And what happened is all of these correspondences started taking up and eating up chunks of time. So if you have a specific client who has a lot of communication, you might want to consider that part of that communication, if not all of those communications, are part of your billable hours. The next thing you want to be aware of is discussing when you sign a new client, discussing upfront what your normal business operating hours are. So, for example, if your normal operating hours are 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. or 10 a.m. until 6 p.m., then if a client messages you, texts you, calls you, emails you, whatever, before or after that time frame, you should let them know up front, hey, just so you know, my normal hours of operation are 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. Any questions or correspondences that come in before or after, I will get back to you during my next scheduled business day. You set that up for them up front. They know what the rules are. You set that up for yourself up front so that you know what your rules are. And then this way you don't end up in these sticky situations of feeling like you're always, quote unquote, on call. Just because you're in a service-based business, especially if you offer concierge services, does not mean that you have to be on call all the time. Something else that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to educate your clients up front. What is the best way to communicate with you? So, for example, is texting the best way to communicate with you? Is email the best way to communicate with you? Or is there some other form of communication that you prefer above all things? For example, in the coaching that I do, my students are told up front, do not PM me on Facebook or Instagram, or please do not PM me. I will not respond, because most of the times I know for myself, if somebody PMs me, I might see it, but then I'm in the middle of working or in the middle of my day. I don't have time to respond. I might see it. I completely forget about it. And then that person feels as if I've ignored them. I'm not ignoring you. I just don't like that form of communication. The best way to communicate with me would be through email, which they are told that up front. The same with my students. If they have a tech issue or they get locked out of a program or they can't access their password, don't come to me for that. Go to my support team, because they can help you faster than I can. So it's just about helping your clients know the best way to communicate with you. One of the other things that you're going to want to discuss up front is, what is your billing process? How do you bill? Your clients should know this up front. Do you expect to get paid in advance? Do you expect to get paid on the job on site? Do you expect to get paid the month in advance? Do you expect to get paid at the end of the month? Do you expect to be paid by cash, check, credit card? Maybe you have three options. If you are not clear on that process and what your billing process is, then your potential clients and clients aren't going to know that process either. So again, make it super easy for them to basically know how to play by the rules of how you run your business. And now there's one more super, super important boundary I want you to consider that you want to put in place, especially in the beginning. You want to be thinking about different processes and different business policies that you're going to put in place for the way you do business. So some of those things could look like mileage rates, how you accept credit cards, what it might cost if you have an after hours request, what a last minute request might look like. All of these should be policies that you know in advance, so that when you know them in advance, you can clearly articulate them to your clients when people are asking about your services or when you are onboarding new clients. Knowing this for yourself first is your most important thing, because then if you are confused, then your clients are going to be confused also. They're not going to want to know. They're not going to know what the rules are in working with you in your business. All right, my friends, I know this was a meaty one today, but make sure that you are considering setting boundaries up front in your business so that you never end up in a position where you regret things that you're doing for the sake of getting a new client. Now, if this video was helpful, please hit up that like button and make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss any other upcoming episodes.